Hi, my name is Mandy and today we are going to be talking about what I read in March. Now, I'd still call March a great reading month, although I did not read quite as much as I normally do, and that's okay. You have great months and you have not as great months. Now, in the month of March, I read 9 books. I read 4 physical books, 3 audiobooks, and 2 mixed format books. And I had an average rating of 4 stars. Now, circling back to my goals for the year that I want to review in these monthly videos, I actually feel like I did a great job with them. Now, my goal to participate in more readathons, I did participate in 1 readathon, the Spring Into Reading-a-thon. Kind of. I did not fulfill all categories, but I'm okay with that. I read 1 nonfiction book, as per my goal to read 1 of those each month. And then I actually read 2 books that were out of my comfort zone. I also read 2 books from the list of series that I am trying to read this year. And then I read 5 books that were physically on my shelves. All in all, I call that a great reading month. So the first book that I read in March was Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is a high fantasy book. As of right now, it is a standalone, but I do believe he is writing a sequel, but the book does stand on its own. In this book, this is a magical world that relies on breaths and colors. The more breaths you have, the more vibrant colors you are, and with breaths, people can voluntarily give up their breaths. And some people take breaths, and the more breaths you have, the more magic you have access to. And there are 2 warring kingdoms. One of them, it is blasphemy to give up your breaths, and the other one, they thrive on breaths. And the kingdom where it is blasphemy, they have an alliance with the other kingdom where they're going to send their daughter to marry the God King. There is a lot that goes into this plot, and there are a lot of different characters that are coming all into this, but overall, this was a really good book. I gave it 5 stars. This is my first Brandon Sanderson book, and I don't think it's going to be my last. I definitely have a lot more Brandon Sanderson books to check out in the future. So Warbreaker was one of the books that was out of my comfort zone because high fantasy is very outside of what I normally read. The next book that I read was also out of my comfort zone, and that was The Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder by Joanne Fluke. This is an adult murder mystery, which is not something I have any experience with. It's about a woman who lives in this small town, and she runs a cookie shop. She bakes cookies. She's like the cookie lady. And one morning, one of the small town members turns out dead in the alley behind her shop. This is her brother-in-law's very first murder investigation as a detective, and he is really excited, and he enlists her to help him solve this case. And essentially, she does all of the work. That part didn't really make sense to me. And it's just her going around this small town and trying to figure out who would have killed this guy. He was an all-around likable guy. He was the milkman. Everyone liked him, or so we think. While I thought that this book was cute, it really just bordered on okay. I only gave this a 3-star rating, mainly because I don't know, this book originally came out I think in 1998, so there are a lot of differences from today, and just some of the things that the character did were so stupid and would not be admissible in a court of law, and like it just wouldn't work in the real world. And so I guess I had trouble suspending my disbelief for some of the parts. I don't know, if you have read other books by Joanne Fluke, I think there are almost like 20 books in this series now. Let me know if it gets better and if I should stick up with the series. Because if it gets better, I'd be willing to give the next one a try, but it's still just, I just don't know how much I buy some of the events that happened in this book. I was apparently in a murder mystery kind of mood at the time, because the next book that I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This book is about a girl living in Victorian England who wants to be a coroner. Her uncle is a coroner and he performs autopsies, and she wants to do that too. Around this time, Jack the Ripper starts his killing spree, and she puts it upon herself to find out and solve the mystery. I did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought that the banter was really fun, and I thought that Audrey Rose was a good main character. I am definitely going to be continuing on the series, and I'm excited to see where things go with the next few books. The next book that I read was Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. This is the second book in the Arc of the Scythe series. The Scythe series is very popular, and if you haven't heard of it, it's a dystopian book set in the future. Obviously, I guess that's when all dystopian books are set. In this world, humanity has overcome death. Science has progressed so far that people don't die naturally anymore. So to address overpopulation, they came up with scythes, who essentially go around killing people. They have like a quota that they have to fill every year. And the idea is to mimic natural death and how death occurred during the age of mortality, which is what they call our day, when we died naturally and unnaturally and all that jazz. The book is about 2 people, Citra and Rowan, who are chosen to be scythe apprentices, and it's all about what they learn and what the scythedom really is about. I will not tell you much about this book because we don't want spoilers, but I did enjoy this one. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I did enjoy the first book. There was a little bit of anxiety in the middle as I was like, oh no, how is this book going to end? But overall, I did really enjoy this one, and I gave it 4 stars. Thunderhead does end on a cliffhanger. I will let you know that in advance. And so right as soon as I finished Thunderhead, I was like, I need to read The Toll. So that's what I read. The next book I read was The Toll by Neil Shusterman, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. There were a lot of twists and turns that I was not expecting. Actually, there were in Thunderhead as well. So Neil Shusterman does a really good job of twists and turns. But overall, I thought this book ended the series really well, and 4.5 stars. Now, these next books, I guess The Toll I counted as part of the Spring Into Reading-a-thon. And these next 3 books, the last 3 books, were also books that I read for the read-a-thon. The first book was Wanderlost by Jen Malone. This is about a girl whose sister was supposed to go and work in Europe for the summer, being a tour guide for this high-end company for the elderly as they travel around Europe. Something happens before she goes, and she gets arrested, and not fulfilling her duty with this job will hurt her actual career, so she sends her sister to do it for her. So her sister Aubrey, the main girl in the story, goes on this tour company, and she meets the son of the operators. So I guess the owner of the company's son, and starts to fall for him, but he doesn't know her real name. He thinks she's her sister, and it gets a little awkward, but I mean, it's still a cute story. I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was cute. It was everything I look for in a cheesy contemporary romance. After that, I read Love, Lucy by April Lindner. This book has been sitting on my shelf for so long. So I finally got it read and off of that shelf. This is about a girl whose parents want her to go into business and study business, and because she agrees to study business in college, they send her to Europe on a trip of a lifetime the summer before she starts college. She goes, has a great time, and in her second to last stop in Florence, she meets a guy who shows her what life could be like if she stopped living by everyone else's rules. This one was cute as well. I did enjoy it, but I did give it 4 stars because overall the journey that we took on this story was really good, and I really enjoyed watching her come into her own as a person. The last book that I read this month was actually a pretty big surprise to me. When I first started reading this book, I did not think I was going to like it. And that book is If I'm Being Honest by Emily Wibberley, and Austin Sigmund Broca. This book is about a girl who says it like it is. It says, if I'm being honest. She prides herself in being honest, but her honesty kind of comes off mean sometimes. In the beginning of the story, she puts herself out there with a guy that she's had a crush on for a while, only to find out that he thinks she's mean and he doesn't want to be with her. So she says, all right, I am going to change myself and show that I am a better person. And as I'm sure you can tell me just saying that, that doesn't sound like a very good book. So I didn't think I was going to like it. I thought that the book was going to the point where they were going to get together, but I soon learned that that's not what happened. As she tries to make amends with people and show that she's changing, she makes amends with a guy that she gave a mean nickname to back when they were in middle school, and starts to learn that he is not what or who she thought he was, and they start to become friends, and it's cute. This is supposed to be kind of a retelling of The Taming of the Shrew by Shakespeare, and I ended up really enjoying this book. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars, which is almost usually as high as I go with contemporary novels. I really enjoyed the journey that this character made, especially after I realized that the story was not going in the direction of her ending up with the jerk who she was trying to change herself for, because that is not how you should be in a relationship. Overall, I enjoyed this one a lot. 4.5 stars. Hooray! Yeah, this one was the group read for the readathon, which is why I kept on through it even when I wasn't sure about it in the beginning. So if you're not sure about this book, it's not going in that direction. You're good. I forgot about my very last book. So that book was number 8, and number 9, I read Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Shetterly. This is the book, the nonfiction book that I read this month, and it is the book that the movie Hidden Figures was based off of, where we go into the lives of Black women working for NASA in the 50s and 60s. Now, while I really enjoyed hearing about the stories and lives of these women that were detailed in this book, the book deals with people working at NASA, and they spent a lot of time on technical stuff and engineering speak and math speak and a lot of stuff that I don't really care about. So because of that, I only gave this book 3 stars. So while I did enjoy learning about the lives, there was a lot of technical speak. So if you do like technical speak, then I think you will love this book. So there you have it. That's what I read in March. No promises that I will continue making videos in April. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I guess you just don't feel like editing videos, because I've recorded videos. Recording videos isn't hard. It's the editing that I don't ever want to do. So hopefully you will see this video in a timely manner. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw today, feel free to click subscribe. You can also follow me on my social media, which I will link down below. I hope you are having a great bookish day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!